Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting out war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk Hedonites of Slaanesh as we have the rules now for their brand new Tome Celestial, which is their White Dwarf updated rules. We're going to go through all the things that have been updated and all the new things they've gotten from their battle tactics, grand strategies, their battalions, and some new army rules for them as well. So, without further ado, let's get cracking on into this. Let's check out what the Hedonites of Slaanesh have gotten, and don't forget to let us know what you think down in the comments below. And so, we start with a brand new battle trait for the Hedonites of Slaanesh called a Revel in Pain. Now, during a battle, Hedonites of Slaanesh armies gain the following ability based on their current number of unspent Depravity points DP. These abilities are cumulative, meaning they get each one based on how many they have. So they'll get the first one if they have the second one, etc. So, first of all, let's talk about getting abilities for unspent Depravity. I do like this as a concept because Slaanesh being the summoning army, for me, it doesn't fit how the narrative sort of works for me. Like, if there's going to be a summoning army in a game, I look at it comparing to, say, Beasts of Chaos, which have really good summoning. And their summoning is effectively calling more fighters to the war. I feel like that army just feels more like it should summon in how the mechanic works based on the narrative. Slaanesh, things are taking pains, so Slaanesh demons come out. But isn't that the same for every other Chaos God? And shouldn't they all have the same amount of, summoning then? So it doesn't sort of fit the feel to me. Slaanesh, for me, should always be a glass cannon army, but this is a cool ability nonetheless. Whether it's going to be the thing that Slaanesh need is not what I'm sort of saying, but it is a cool ability. Khorne have been doing this for ages, where they have the option to summon things or they have other cool abilities they can get, and I do like that as a mechanic. I'm not saying this fixes Slaanesh, but I do like the idea of this mechanic giving you an alternative option to summoning things to the table. So, let's talk about those alternative things. First of all, if you have 6+ unspent Depravity, your rally commands for friendly Hedonites of Slaanesh units work on 5+ rather than 6+. This is a cool start. Like, the army generally is quite costly at the moment. Hopefully we can see some points changes as well, and I think this one generally gets a little bit better. 6+ Depravity is not hard to get. That's just 6 units having caused some Depravity. You could pretty much guarantee this, you would say, turn 1. If you've got a couple of shooting units in your army, just pip some wounds here and there, even hurt yourself in some ways. Definitely not a bad ability. Now, on a 12+, you add 2 to the move characteristic of all friendly Hedonites of Slaanesh units. This is really cool. I don't know if there's a way that you could potentially try and get 12 turn 1, but definitely going second you probably could, trying to do some damage to your opponent, taking a little bit yourself with your screens and stuff. Being able to add 2 to an army that generally wants to get stuck in with some of its stuff is pretty cool. And then 18+, a ward of 5 up for your whole army. That's really, really cool. Like, that's going to make you a lot more survivable. It'd be interesting if you can get that 18, how this is going to work for Slaanesh as a play. Is this going to be something you sacrifice, or is it going to be that you try and work to 18 and then spend beyond your 18? Like, you don't spend until you hit 18 and then you try and summon after 18, or you summon, try and make sure, try and calculate. It'd be interesting. Like I said, I don't think this is a fix for the army. I think it is a push in the right direction for Slaanesh as an army, giving them something to be other than that summoning army. But it's definitely not going to wholly fix them. I don't think this is probably what a lot of Slaanesh players want. They are an army that is in not a good state. I think with some points changes, though, coming down in points for some of their units, this could be interesting, because if you can get more bodies on the table and have rallies on a 5 up, it's not a terrible thing at all. And then adding 2 to your move is nice. We did a video talking about things I'd like to see for Slaanesh, and there are some changes to particular models I'd like to see. Things like a Keeper being able to affect itself, with the new way they've changed how your locus of diversion works. I don't think Keepers affecting themselves is as bad anymore. This is okay, though. I think a positive change. It's not the fix they need now, but this is a positive move in a right direction for Slaanesh. And so, moving on to the grand strategies and battle tactics we receive. So we get one grand strategy in this called Coveted Riches. You complete this grand strategy if at the end of the battle there are no enemy models with artifacts on the battlefield and there are at least one friendly model with an artifact on the battlefield. This one, to me, very much is just a more specific and a little bit easier to do version than, say, what is it called? The assassination one. Where you have to kill your enemy heroes and then keep your general alive. For me, this is, much easier. Generally, it's going to have 1, 2, sometimes 3. There are definitely different armies that are going to be easier and or harder. I mean, you're taking a look at, say, playing Sons of Behemoth. If they're going to build where you can get the 3 artifacts on the Gargants, that's definitely going to be a much harder one to do than, say, an army that generally only has 1 artifact in it. And that artifact might go on a smaller model. Then it's all about keeping your model alive as well. Keeping Slaanesh alive is generally a little bit harder, so I do think with how we sort of look at Slaanesh being a little bit faster, being able to summon more, that maybe something like Predator's Domain is a better grand strategy than this. Though this, playing in some friendly games, depending what you're doing, especially in lower points value games, I think this grand strategy is pretty cool. In like 1,000-point games where there's not going to be many things with artifacts on them, definitely a better grand strategy at smaller points values. Now, battle tactics wise, we've got a bit of a mix here. So first of all, we've got death by 1,000 cuts. You pick one enemy unit, you complete this battle tactic for wounds caused by 3 different friendly units allocated to it this turn. I think this is definitely the easiest one to do, trying to do a little bit. You can do an Arcane Bolt from someone. You can do a little bit of something else, some shooting, some combat, charge abilities off your chariots as well would help with this. This is definitely not a hard one to do and a nice little extra battle tactic you can do on something where you're having to put 3 units into someone anyway, where you're going to, well, I need to throw everything I can at that unit to make it die so I can kill it because it needs to die, it's hurting my army. It's a battle tactic that you can sort of double down on, going, well, I need to kill that unit, and if I don't, I'm in trouble anyway, so might as well pick the battle tactic that rewards me for trying to kill it with lots of different units. We've then got an Enrapturing Blur. This is the one that I think is really hard to do, where pick one enemy hero with no wounds allocated to them. You complete this tactic if that unit is destroyed in the combat phase before it's picked to attack. So straight away, you've got to be trying to put Always Strikes Last on that unit to really get this out. And then, you've got to be doing some other things in combat. This one for me is really, really hard. You're probably only picking this if you put like an enemy wizard in combat and you're pretty confident. You've like charged it with a chariot, done D3 mortals, rolled 3, and you've got 2 wounds to do to an enemy wizard. That's probably the reason why you're using Enrapturing Blur. You probably would not pick this for a lot of units. The last one is the Grand Feast. You complete this battle tactic if you receive 12 or more Depravity points this turn. Depravity is not that hard to generate at all, but your opponent can definitely stop you. If you only just do the 12 and your opponent goes, cool, I'm not passing Battle Shock on them, they all run away, and now you don't get your battle tactic. This can certainly be a one that can be denied in situations like that, because the units have to be on the table to generate Depravity. So, if you all of a sudden cause 19 wounds and I've got 1 of my, free guild soldiers left on the table out of 20, and it will be that free guild soldier that generates your 12th, I'm going to let him run. So, interesting sort of thing. All in all, I think Death by 1,000 Cuts is definitely going to have a time and place you're going to use it, as I sort of mentioned. Coveted Riches, probably better in smaller points value games where there's less artifacts on the table, and you can probably put something of yours on a model that's a little bit harder to kill. So definitely, I think in like 750 to 1,000 point games, Coveted Riches is actually not a bad grand strategy, but at 2k, it becomes very situational. Grand Feast can be used if you're pretty confident. You just need to make sure you're always going above 12 and probably only rely on your units doing it. If you're sort of, generating Depravity off your opponent's units and the majority of your opponent's units, it's going to be a lot harder. And then Enrapturing Blur is really, really hard. Very, very situational. You don't use it on models you can kill, and then you need to be able to set up that kill at the beginning of the turn. And lastly, we have 2 new core battalions for the Hedonites of Slaanesh. So the first one is Epicurean Revelers, which is going to have 2 to 6 Demonite units in it, 1 or 0 to 1 Exalted Chariot units, 0 to 1 Hellflayer units, and 0 to 1 Fiend units. This isn't terrible if you're trying to go for a lot of different demon models on the table, because you do get unified. So this could certainly be combined. Now, it doesn't say whether they have to be character units, so those chariots there could certainly be characters. You could fit a whole army in this, which is pretty cool. Being able to get like a large army at 2k to guarantee the turn is nice. You do get Slayers as well, which is going to allow you some extra command point usage, where you can get an all-out attack or unleash hell without a command point being spent. Not a terrible battalion. It probably is missing a few of the key piece units we're liking in Slaanesh at the moment with your shooting pieces. Things like your, what are they called? The Blissbarb Archers and Blissbarb Seekers are missing. It's going to be a little bit harder to generate Depravity, but, you know, if you're wanting to play an all-demon Slaanesh army, this isn't a bad battalion to have. We then get Nobles of Excess. This is a more mortal-focused one. You get 2 to 3 Myrmidish Painbringers and 1 to 3 Symbarish Twin Soul units. And you get Magnificent for it. Not a terrible one. And once again, if you're going for that more sort of combat, you're liking all those models, this is pretty cool. All in all, I don't think either of these battalions is particularly great in a competitive sense, but the Epicurean Revelers definitely gets you a demon army on the table with some cool benefits here and there. It's not a terrible one. Nobles of Excess is probably only if you're running those particular units. I can't see it being too overly popular. I can't really see Epicurean Revelers being too overly popular either, but being able to get a bunch of models on the table, lowering your drops, is not terrible. It'd be interesting to sort of see. But that is everything we got for Slaanesh. We've got some open play and some narrative play, and we'll look at them separately down the line. But what do you think of all of the different Slaanesh stuff we've got in this? Love to know what everyone thinks. What do you want? What other changes do you think were needed? What changes do you think were good in this, if any? Let us know down in the comments below. And so that is the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment down below and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, we've got a link to our Discord server down in the video's description. And if you'd like to help support the channel in another way, you can do so either by joining Patreon or YouTube members, or purchasing something from our Ko-fi web store. All of them are linked in the video's description. Thank you all for everyone who chooses to help support the channel. As a special thank you to those people who have supported via Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give a special shout out to them all. So a shout out to our patrons: Christian Weir, James, Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Aaron Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nielsen, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Dyna226, Derek, and GRP390. A special thank you to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Sean Scott, Pink Nico Fire, and Robin Mankiller as well. Lastly, a special shout out first of all to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel you see, and to Xmorphic, who has done an amazing job at setting up our Discord server for her and making us have a nice place to content and to chat with all of our community. Thank you all for watching once again, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.